The primary responsibility of a DBA is to ensure the database is available. Apart from that, DBA also takes care of creating users, creating table spaces, and other basic administration activities, but predominantly it is to ensure that the database is available. What do we mean by database is available? In case of any failure, for example, there is a storage failure or a media failure, which is a hard disk failing or a flash drive failing, how do we recover from that? Or two could be there is a user error. Somebody went and accidentally dropped a table, or somebody ran a DML which went and updated rows which was not to be done. How do we recover from that? So you could have media failure, recovering from that, or user failures or user errors from which you want to recover. So what are the ways in which backup and recovery can be achieved? At a high level, we can say there are two ways of taking backups. One is the physical, the other is the logical. When we talk about logical backup, it is using utilities like export or EXPDP imported with IMP or IMPDP. EXP and IMP go together, export utility and import utility, which is the older version, whereas EXPDP and IMPDP, standing for export data pump, import data pump, is the newer release of export utilities which work much faster and gives you a lot more benefits. These can be used to create a logical backup. Physical backup means taking a backup of the physical files of the database. What are the physical files? Data files, control files, and archived data log files. Physical backup is the recommended way to take backups. Logical backup could be a supplementary feature to take backups, but don't depend on logical backups alone, because logical backups, you can't necessarily get all the data back unless you're doing an upgrade and you took an export before the upgrade, and post upgrade you want it back. Maybe an export or EXPDP can help, but on a proper running of a database, if there is a media failure or a user creating an error by running some script, you need physical backups to recover from that. So what are the different types of physical backups? You can use OS level backups, wherein we look at an operating system level, you go and copy the files, data files, control files, read log files, archive log files, etc. Or Oracle provides a utility called RMAN, Recovery Manager, with which you can take backups. Again, depending on whether you use OS level backup or RMAN backup, how you can do these backups can be classified under two categories. You can do backups hot or online, cold or offline. What is the difference? Online backups or hot backups are done when the database is running. Cold backups or offline backups are done when the database is shut down. By default, a database is in no archive log mode. And in no archive log mode, the archive log files are not created. Under such situations, you can only do cold backups or backups of the database when the database is shut down. So you shut down the database and you get all your files in sync. You take the entire backup of all files, control file, read log file, and data files. And whenever you have a problem, you have to restore it back. Let us say you took a backup yesterday and today you will end up having a problem. You will have to delete all files as of today, restore the backup that was taken yesterday. All the data that was entered since the time you took a backup is lost. We can't recover it. So if you want to have a least data loss or no data loss kind of situation, you must use online backups. In order to use online backups, you need to ensure your database is in archive log mode. And once that is there, in order to take backups, you don't need to shut down the database. Plus, in case of any problem, you can restore the file or restore the backup and apply archive log files. What are archive log files? As and when your redo group becomes full and switches to the next group, the last group that was switched from will be copied into a destination that you specify. So there are locations you can specify as to where you want to archive these files, and the copy of the redo log file is brought in there and it is kept as an archive log file, so that later on when you use a backup which is taken at some point. Let's take the same example of a backup taken yesterday, and you have a problem today. You restore the whole file and apply all archive log files that were available from the time of the backup. Thereby, all the transactions that were made in the redo are used to recover the data back, so you don't lose much data. If you want to have no data loss, then you must implement something like DataGuard, which is another database where all the data is already in sync with. But at a basic level, to reduce the data loss, you need to have your database in archive log mode. In forthcoming videos that are coming up in this playlist, I will help you understand the various backup and recovery scenarios that you can do with Armin or at an OS level. Apart from this, you also have a technique called flashback. Flashback is not something where you go about implementing a backup, but it is a mechanism available within the database through which you can rewind your database to a point in time. I will talk more about flashback after discussing about Armin backups and recovery scenarios, so that then the point will be appropriate to introduce you to flashback.